everyone. As everybody is inside and at home, I decided that we probably need some movement breaks, and yoga is a great way to be moving our bodies inside, outside. We can get a good stretch. And today we are going to go through something called a Sun Salutation. So it's a nice full body warm up, and we go through a few poses and then we flow through them. So we move from one to the next, and we can warm up our bodies. This is a great way to stretch as well as to strengthen in a really short amount of time. Okay, so the first pose we're going to get into is tabletop. Tabletop is exactly how it sounds. We want to have our knees underneath our hips and our wrists and our hands underneath our shoulders. We don't want to sag in or arch. We just want to be a nice sturdy tabletop. So imagine somebody having a nice plate of spaghetti on your back. You want to be really solid, suck in our tummy and make sure it's really strong. From here, we're going to inhale, drop our belly, and our hips are going to go out, and we're going to look up. This is called cow pose. And on our exhale, we're going to push out all of our air, round our backs, look up to that belly button, squeeze out all of your air. This is called cat. Let's go back to cow. So big belly breath in. Hips go back, belly drops low, inhale, big breath of air. Exhale into cat. Let's do two more of each. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Good, now come back to tabletop. We've warmed up our backs, so now we want to go into our next pose called downward facing dog. Downward facing dog, we can start in our tabletop. We're going to pick our knees up and we're going to shoot our hips back. Some of you may be able to straighten out your legs. Some of you are going to have bent knees. Some people are going to have their heels a little bit up off the ground, but the goal is to get those heels down to the ground as much as you can. And I'm rooting through my hands, pushing my hips back, really thinking about a long line from my head all the way to my tailbone. Let's take 2 breaths in downward facing dog. Good. From here, we're going to walk our feet up to our hands, bend our knees, and we're going to whoosh our arms all the way up, reach to get really tall, and we're going to exhale forward. So hips are going to come back. We're going to try and keep our legs as straight as possible and reach down for the ground. Maybe you're reaching for your shins, maybe you're reaching for your toes, maybe your hands can come down to the ground. Doesn't matter, we want to feel a really good stretch along the backs of our legs. Knees can be as bent as we need to be, okay? The goal is eventually our hands will be nice and close to the ground. We're going to take 2 breaths in here. And from here, we're going to walk our hands a little bit forward and we're going to step back into a plank position. We don't have to hold it up high here, but see how there's a nice long line between my head to my shoulders, all the way to my hips and my legs. I don't want to dip down and I don't want to pike up. I want to be really strong, like in that tabletop position. I'm now going to drop down to my knees, and we're going to do a fun movement called a chaturanga, which means kind of like a really slow push-up. I'm going to have my elbows come alongside my body, and I'm going to lower down to the ground. From here, I'm going to push up, and I'm going to roll my shoulders back. My hips are coming just a little bit off the ground. The tops of my feet are going to come back down onto the mat, and I'm going to look up. This is called cobra pose. From here, I'm going to turn my toes over. I'm going to push up, and I'm going to rock my hips back into our good old favorite, downward facing dog. One breath in here. And now we're gonna walk those feet all the way up. Inhale, reach up, exhale, hands can come down. You just did one full sun salutation. We kind of broke it down step by step, but now we're gonna speed it up a little bit so we can get into a bit of a flow. We're gonna aim for one breath in and one breath out in each pose. All right, here we go. You can join me as we move. Inhale, reach and lift up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, we're gonna walk those feet back to a high plank. Lower your knees down, still nice and strong. Toes can come up. Exhale, we're gonna chaturanga down to the ground. From here, tops of the feet, go onto the mat. Lift up, push up through those arms, reach your chest forward. And then as you exhale, tuck your toes under, push up, back to downward facing dog. One breath in. And as you exhale, let's walk our feet forward. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold. We're gonna go a little bit faster now. Plant your palms, step back into plank. Knees come down, really strong, slow chaturanga. From here, push up, cobra. Keep that belly nice and strong. Inhale once more. Exhale, turn your toes over. Roll back into downward facing dog. Inhale, look up. Exhale, this time, instead of walking our feet, if you'd like, bend your knees and you're gonna jump your feet forward. Inhale to come up. Exhale to fold. We're gonna come back. Here, we can also add in a jump. Instead of walking our feet back into plank, we can jump back into a plank. Just make sure you're landing really strong. Knees can come down. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale to cobra. Exhale, down to downward facing dog. Here we're gonna add what's called a three-legged dog. We're gonna make it a little bit funky. So we're gonna root down our left foot and we're gonna pick up our right. And we're gonna reach that right leg as far as we can. Keep pushing into your hands. And then we're gonna step back down and switch sides. Point your left toes, pick them up, pick them up, pick them up. Reach as far as you can and then come on down. And from here, we're gonna bend our knees and we're either gonna walk or we're gonna hop our feet up. From here, we're gonna inhale one last time. Reach up nice and tall. We're gonna end with a forward fold. This time, we're gonna split our feet a little bit wider apart. And we're gonna just go really limp. We're not gonna hold any tension. We're not gonna reach at all with our upper body. We're just gonna hang. So your head's gonna be loose. Now this is a forward fold called ragdoll. And it's called ragdoll because we're almost like a ragdoll in our upper body. Our legs are still stretching, but our upper body is really loose, acting like a little bit of dead weight, holding and bringing our upper body down closer to the ground. One more breath here in ragdoll. You can nod your head yes or bob it no. And from here, we're gonna bend our knees, plant our palms, step back, and we're gonna come back into tabletop where we started. From tabletop, we're gonna do toes to touch. We're gonna spread our knees out just about mat width apart. We're gonna sink our hips back so they're trying to touch down to our heels, and we're gonna keep those hands reaching forward. We're gonna come into a pose called child's pose, and it's a really great pose for relaxing and focusing on our breath, as well as getting a gentle stretch in our hips and our legs. So we're gonna reach forward with our hands, and we're gonna bring our forehead down to the ground, just gently. gonna take 5 breaths here. You can choose to reach. If it doesn't feel good to put your forehead down onto the mat, then you can just have your palms stacked on each other and put your head down here. Breathing in for 1 and out. 2 and out. 3 4 5 Coming out of child's pose, you always want to move a little bit slowly and honor that you brought everything kind of down and relaxed. This is our first video of yoga at home, and we just learned a whole bunch or a series of different poses that created a sun salutation. So I hope you enjoyed. You can do as many sun salutations as you want. You can mix it up, add in some 3-legged dog, or maybe add in some more planking if you'd like, but this is a great place to start. See you guys soon.